In today's video, I'm going to share with you the honest pros and cons of living in Salt Lake City, Utah. I relocated here about 2 years ago with me and my family, and we absolutely love living in Salt Lake City. So I'm going to share the pros and the cons of living here, and I'm getting started right now. Pro number one, and one of the things that I really like about living here right now in Salt Lake City is the amazing views of the mountains, lakes, and rivers. So it never gets old looking at the mountains that you get to look at. Right now, there's no snow on them really, and so it's a completely different view than what it was just 3 or 4 months ago when they all had snow on them. And we will be getting snow late October, sometime in November in that range, and that's going to change the landscape of the mountains. The lakes are awesome. So there's a really cool place you can go at the top of Draper to look out over Utah Lake, and then you can drive just a short little drive to the other side of the Draper Mountain, and you can see all of Salt Lake City. There's also this super cool place called the Overlook that you can go in Harriman, where you can look out over Salt Lake City. I just did it the other night with my wife, where she had never been up there, so we drove up there in my Jeep and looked out over the valley. It's super awesome. A great place to go at sunset if you haven't seen that before. But that's pro number one, the amazing views that you get of the mountains and of the lakes. And then when I've been up in the valleys to see the rivers, they're awesome. And then the waterfalls that you get to see as well, awesome. Con number one, and this is something that's been driving me nuts lately, are terribly bad drivers here in Salt Lake City. So they love to drive 90, 100, 110 miles an hour on the freeway. Don't know if they do that by you, but comment below if they do, what your thing you like least about drivers. They also have been doing this thing lately where they turn their turn signal on and then just turn into your lane. They don't even look. They just turn into your lane, and then you're just supposed to let them in. Like, just because I turn my blinker on, that gives me a pass to move into your lane. That's not how that works. So I don't know where they're learning that from, but that's what people are doing. The other thing you really need to take notice of is red lights. People here love to run red lights, and I think it's just because the amount of surface traffic through all the lights, they don't want to wait through the next light cycle, so they'll just run the red light. You'll see 2, 3, 4 cars that are run past the red light. Police officers right now don't seem to give a crap about red light people, which I wish they would start pulling them over and ticketing them, but they don't. So you just have to be aware of that. Take a few extra second or two, just enough where you don't get honked at because they think you're on your cell phone. But just know that if you go right away, you run the risk of getting into an accident because of people running the red lights. The other thing that drivers do that you're going to note is they will veer from the fast lane all the way to the slow lane, and that gets dangerous sometimes as well. Pro number two is going to be all the ski slopes nearby. So as you can see on the map here, Utah has a ton of ski areas, but the most popular ones near Salt Lake City are Alta, Snowbird, Solitude, Brighton, Deer Valley, and Park City. Those are the core ones that I would say. I have skied personally at all of those but Deer Valley. I haven't been there yet, so that I'll have to do. But Park City is really cool. It's the biggest one of those. And then my favorite one is Brighton. Are you a skier or a snowboarder? Comment below so I know that. But you can also snowmobile up in Park City, do a ton of other winter sports up in the Park City area, anything that has to do with the snow. And then down south, you can see Bryan Head, which is cool. Con number two, and this isn't a big one for people moving typically to Utah, and that's the alcohol rules. So if you don't drink, then this probably isn't a con at all, but keep listening just so you know a few things so that when you see certain things and when you're in restaurants or bars that you're aware of it. But they have partitions up, and they have some strange rules where you can't get into bars with children. They have a 0.05 DUI limit. You can't buy alcohol on Sundays here. Grocery stores and gas stations only sell certain kinds of beer and hard seltzers. Everything else, if you want a bottle of Jack Daniels, you're going to be going to the state-run liquor stores. And I've heard that they are pricey. They're where a lot of people go out of state to Nevada or Arizona and buy alcohol and bring it back, although you're not supposed to do that, but people do it. The state-run liquor stores are closed on Sundays and holidays, so you got to be aware of that as well. But those are alcohol, and Utah has one of the strictest rules in the entire nation as far as alcohol goes. Pro number 3 is a biggie, and this is one of the top reasons that I relocated here to Salt Lake City, and that's the outdoors. So you have everything that you can do in the outdoors here, because from spring to fall, it is amazing here. Since it's dry, you don't have humidity that we had to deal with when we lived in Tennessee, but you can go camping, fishing, hiking, boating, kayaking, paddleboarding. Heck, we just went paddleboarding on Echo Reservoir, my new favorite reservoir to go to, Echo. I used to love Deer Creek, but I think I like Echo more now because there's less people that go to it. But it was awesome, super fun, and it's not a big reservoir. It's right off Interstate 80, right by a place called Taggart's that we went to when I was coming back. That's where we saw the reservoir, but my nephews wanted to go hit that reservoir, since our goal is to go to most of the reservoirs here to figure out which ones we like, and it is amazing. You got fishing and fly fishing, some really, really cool places you can fish at. A lot of the towns will have their own little local pond where we'll go fishing in the Riverton Pond most, or the Danny R. Crump Pond, and catch catfish there. Haven't been able to catch trout out of it yet. And then they have one in Harriman, the Harriman Pond, and I haven't done so great fishing there. It's been fun, but just haven't been able to catch anything out of that pond. So I wonder if they actually stock it. But there are a ton of places for you to fish if you're into that at all. And then hunting, of course, you got a ton of deer and elk and stuff that you're going to be able to hunt in the mountains. Hiking is amazing here in Utah. They have a ton of waterfall hikes, so those have been the ones that I've focused on, as trying to get as many waterfall hikes as I can completed, and then I want to get to hiking some of the peaks. But I didn't even know I liked hiking until I moved here, and my nephews and niece made me go on a hike with them. Now I'm a big fan. So our next hike is going to be to Donut Falls. We do it once a year, and that's a neat hike. You could look that up, but it's awesome. So that's pro number 3, the outdoors. Hopefully you love the outdoors. And one last cool thing about the outdoors, it doesn't get dark here till like 9, 10 o'clock at night. So you can easily work all day, then come home, grab a quick bite, and then go hit a trail. Con number 3 is the traffic. And we've been here 2 years now. Traffic really isn't a big deal for me. Other people complain a lot about it, but I have to go up to Salt Lake and show property, or even into, Ogden, Kaysville area to show property. And it's not really that big of a deal. It takes 10, 15, 20 minutes longer than it does without traffic. So it's not what I thought traffic would be like. I don't really enjoy driving west to east on the surface roads during prime time. It just takes a lot longer because you're sitting through a light or two each time you go through some of the major ones. But you have a few different ways to get around here. You have I-15 and then Bangerter and Mountain View Corridor. And Bangerter is really nice. You'll find that you'll use it often depending upon where you choose to relocate it. If you're on the east side, then you're probably going to be using I-15 more than anything. Pro number 4 is the taxes, and this was not as great for me because I came from Nashville, where we have no state income tax, but here taxes 4.65% flat tax, which is nice. So it doesn't matter how much you earn, you get to pay that one flat tax. Sales tax 7.25% to start, and then it differs based on certain counties. So just know that sales tax is going to be a little higher. Property tax somewhere around 0.75%. So roughly on a $600,000 home, you're looking around $4,500-ish a year in property taxes. So I don't know if that's lower or higher than what you're paying now, but comment below if you could. Utah is moderately friendly towards retirees. So if you're retiring here, Social Security is fully taxed, and withdrawals from a retirement tax and withdrawals from retirement accounts are fully taxed. I'm not sure if that's good or bad for retirees since I'm not to that age limit yet, but there are some other rules and stuff that you can do as far as your tax stuff to limit that, and that's what a good CPA will help you with. Con number 4 can be a pro as well, and that's the grid system. And I think you're going to start out when you move here, relocate here to the Salt Lake City area, you're going to find that you don't like the grid system if you come from an area where streets are named after names. It just makes it harder. When I tell you 4,000 East, you're going to be like, what the heck does that mean? So the grid system is going to be like coordinates. So 2000 north by 4000 east. And then that's where that location is. So certain homes will have that as their address. Other homes won't. Sometimes it messes up with your Google Maps or Apple Maps or Waze. Most of the time it gets it right. After you've been here about 2 years like I have, you'll come to like the grid system. It'll make more sense to you. You'll realize that when you're at nearest this temple, that this means that when you go 4000 north, 4000 east, that it's this area and it's right here. However, I still kind of like knowing where I would just tell you, hey, it's near the Home Depot in Riverton, and then I know where that is rather than the numbers. But you'll get to like it, I think, once you've been here a little while. Pro number 5 is the Salt Lake City Airport, and it's an international airport. It's super nice. They're expanding it. The only real